Hello and welcome, this is Mercenary, and I'm going to be starting up a new series on my channel of the fully released BattleTech. I have covered this game quite a bit when it was in beta, and I also did some coverage that was BattleTech related on my channel, and it's finally here, the released version of the game. I'm very excited for this. And let's jump into it. Now, I did try and poke around with the game a little bit to see what the campaign was about, but it seems like they do start you off right in a battle, and I didn't want to experience that first battle without covering it in a video, so I'm just going to go ahead and play through this campaign pretty much sight unseen. I did want to see a little bit of how the interface worked and how the initial setup was, but I'm just going to have to learn that as I go, and you'll kind of see that as well in this campaign. So let's get started.
I am Kamea of House Arano, High Lady of the Oregon Reach, Protector of Coromadir, and the Sword of Restoration. But I am not a hero, no matter what the stories say. A hero would have sacrificed more, compromised less. A hero would have done better. You know this, of course. You were there. My father used to tell me stories about the ancient times, about the Star League, a golden age of prosperity, upheld by the great mech warriors of old, guardians of the innocent, protectors of the peace. I always dreamed of following in their footsteps. I was too young to see the truth of things. After all, it wasn't heroism or a noble cause that won me the throne. It was hiring a mercenary, skilled enough, perhaps ruthless enough, to carry the day. Hiring you. I still don't know if you fought for honor or for the thrill of it, for belief in my cause, or just in my money. But whether it was your noble heart or mercenary mind, your actions gave us hope. That makes you a hero in the eyes of history. Whether you believe it, that's up to you.
And here we are with the initial setup of the campaign. As I mentioned earlier, I did take a little bit of a look at this, so I do know I have some choices to be made, and it does seem similar to the way Mount & Blade Warband works in that you are setting up the background information of your character, and the choices that you make have some impact on your character. Some of it is just stat bonuses, and other things I really don't know what it's going to impact until we get into the campaign, so I guess we're just going to have to find out. Now, I didn't read over any of the text, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that now. So welcome to the Oregon Reach. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce that, but I'm just going to go with that. The Oregon Reach is a small kingdom in the rimward periphery, a region of space that lies at the outskirts of the more densely colonized inner sphere. It is home to the Oregon Coalition, a federation organized around a parliamentary monarchy and ruled by the Arano family. For 3 generations under the rule of House Arano, the Oregon Coalition has remained a relatively peaceful corner of the periphery. It is here your story begins. Now, I'm going to guess that this yellow text gives us a little bit more background information of the BattleTech universe, which is a very deep universe. There's a lot of lore behind it, and I'm not going to get too deep into that lore, but just to give you a little bit of an explanation. They do talk about the periphery and the inner sphere, so there's 2 areas of space. There's the periphery and there's the inner sphere. The inner sphere, as the name kind of implies, is more the central area, as it says here, 500 light years around Terra. This is more densely populated, and it's where the 5 successor states are located. These are the main empires in the BattleTech universe, and they have been fighting the succession wars. So this takes place in 3025, which is the tail end of the 3rd Succession War, which is a series of conflicts that have been the successor states fighting each other for the ascension to the throne of the old Star League, which they did mention a little bit in that opening cutscene that we saw of the campaign. The periphery is more a frontier region that's outside that. Now, there are states within the periphery, and it does mention some of them here, but they're not as powerful as the inner sphere states are. So keep that in mind. And the Arugan Coalition is one of the periphery states. I don't know if that is canon or not. I'm not too familiar with the Arugan Coalition, so I guess we should go ahead and read this tooltip here, because I personally am not familiar with them. It may be just created for this video game, but maybe it's a real thing in the BattleTech lore. I'm not familiar with it if it is, though. The Arugan Coalition is an interstellar state and the Arugan Reach area of the rimward periphery, bordering both Capellan and Taurian space. So Capella is an inner sphere state, and the Taurians are a periphery, just to give you some information there. Growing out of a trade partnership in the mid-29th century, the Arugan Coalition was formally established by in 2910 by High Lady Fiona Arano. And the past 100 years, the coalition has grown from the 4 systems to a total of 23, so fairly large. Then we have the Arano family itself. Okay, Foresight and Vision, the hereditary rulers of the Arugan Coalition, currently led by Lady Kamea Arano. The Arano House Sigil is, okay, I don't know if that matters, the ancestral seat of the House Arano. Okay, so that's the capital, I'm guessing. From the early days of the Rimward Trade Partnership and the founding of the Arugan Coalition in 2910, through to the current day, House Arano has led the systems of the Arugan Reach. Okay, so this is the capital from what it sounds like. Okay, well, let's get into this. So we're going to hit next here. This is where we choose where we're from. So we have the inner sphere state. So Capella is House Leo. So that does border the Arugan Coalition. And then, we have the other ones here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we have some of the more major periphery states. Then you have the rimward periphery, and then you have the deep periphery. So we can go through all these, but from what I've seen, these don't actually have a direct impact on your character as far as stats go. Maybe it gives you some background that affects the campaign, but as far as I can tell, it really doesn't impact your start. So the Draconis Combine, I'm not going to really go over all of these choices because this is a lot to read, but this is House Karita, and this will give you some information here. You can read through it yourself if you want. You have House Merrick, you have House Davian, you have House Steiner, and House Liao as the main successor states. Then you have a couple of the periphery states, as I mentioned. You have the Rimward Periphery, which, I guess that just means that you're not from one of the more major periphery states. And then the deep periphery, you're really from the backwater, I guess. So of all these choices, again, I don't know what the impact is. Me personally, I would go with either Merrick, Davian, and Steiner, but I don't really know what the impact of that choice is. Merrick I would choose for some of the mechs that you could get. I really like the Cicada. It's one of my favorite mechs, and I believe Merrick would be the house I would choose if I wanted that mech in particular. But Davian has some mechs that I really like, as does Steiner as well. And as a mercenary, I'd rather work for these 3 inner sphere states than this one or this one, especially this one. But I think I'm going to go with either Davian or Merrick here. So just to give you some background of the Free Worlds League. So the Free Worlds League is more like a republic. A lot of the states in the BattleTech universe are very feudal in their setup. But as a result of being more of a republic, there's a lot more of a sense of independence of the different regions of the Free Worlds League. And it kind of goes over a lot of this. So the cultural diversity and relative independence of its component regions are at once the greatest strength of the Free Worlds League and its greatest weakness. Now, one thing about House Merrick is they didn't really get as devastated by the succession wars as some of the other states did, so their industry is pretty strong. So they have some pretty interesting mechs, which would be the reason I'd choose them. House Davian I'd choose because I do like mechs like the Centurion and things like that, and the background of the Federated Sons I kind of like as well. I'm going to go with House Merrick here. I don't know, again, how that's going to affect the campaign, but we'll just go with that. Okay, you are of noble birth. So, immigrants to the Arugan Reach, your family soon establish a comfortable presence and a small backwater system on the edge of the Arugan space. So, we are from House Merrick, or the Free Worlds League, but we moved to the Arugan Reach. Okay. By the time you were born, your family had become the de facto ruling nobility of the system's only inhabited planet. You were the oldest child, heir to the family's titles and ancestral battle mech, an old blackjack BJ-1. Now, I will point out, it doesn't seem it matters where you come from. Your starting mech is always a blackjack. So that I kind of surprised me. I would have thought that your choice there would dictate your starting mech, but that's not the way it works, apparently. This is where you meet Raju Mastiff Montgomery, a veteran of the Succession Wars, whom your parents hired on for a season to train you as a mech warrior. Raju was a strict but capable teacher, and you quickly became a skilled pilot under his tutelage. It was an uneventful life. Okay, now we have some more choices. Until the day after your 16th birthday, when? So you were exiled? Now, this is going to affect some things. Again, background, I'm sure, but this is where we're actually getting stats. So, once a promising young scion of your family, you committed an unforgivable transgression and were sentenced to life in exile. You stole away with the family's ancestral blackjack and set off to find a new life to call your own. Struck out on your own. As the heir to a noble family, you grew up wanting for nothing, and as it turns out, you couldn't stand a life of pampered nobility. Finally, one night, you stole away from your family's ancestral blackjack, and so on. So here we're getting piloting and tactics. Here we're getting gunnery and tactics. Your family went bankrupt. As you grew older, you watched your family's fortune, income, and influence slowly dwindle away until there was nothing left. Your parents, driven to despair, took their own lives. With nothing but your family's ancestral blackjack left to call home, call your own, you set off to make your own life for yourself. So tactics and guts. Family died in an accident. The rest of your family died in a freak jump ship accident. Interesting. Okay, so piloting and guts yet again. And then your family was betrayed. Your family was betrayed and its seat of power destroyed. You defeated the betrayers, but you were the sole surviving member of your house. Okay, so, I mean, it's all the same result. I'm going to go with you struck out on your own. We get piloting and tactics. Piloting is going to affect, it does give you a little bit of information here. It's going to affect the stability of your mech, but it's also going to affect your ability to hit things in melee, so punch things. Oh, and also base sprint distance. That's a little bit new. And then you have tactics. This is going to increase the effectiveness of called shots. It also reduces the penalty for indirect fire and improves the minimum range of weaponry. Okay, interesting. But I'm still going to go with this background. I kind of like it. I don't want my family to be destroyed, and I don't want to be driven into exile. So we'll go with this one. Okay, so now we have to decide on what we did it as a career. So we have the Urugan Coalition soldier, so we joined up with that. Unsure of your prospects, you traveled to the capital, okay, and enlisted in the Coalition military. You quickly rose through the ranks, distinguishing yourself as a reliable mech warrior. So we get a gunnery skill. You can do a frontier pirate. We get guts from doing that. I don't think we're going to be a pirate. We're going to be a Solaris gladiator. So this is going to give us the same stat, but maybe a little bit different background. Solaris is more or less it's a gladiator arena with mechs. So you use mechs to fight in the arena. Okay, we could have done that. Intersphere Mercenary, eager to get away from it all, you joined up with a minor Intersphere Mercenary unit, integrating into the tight-knit crew. Took some time, but eventually proved your worth. Okay, so we get tactics yet again. We can be a freelancer. Some more tactics here. All right. And then the Merchant Guard, so we can get some more piloting. I think I'm just going to go ahead and we'll have joined the coalition here as a soldier. Give us some gunnery skill. Give us some more well-rounded abilities. My other choice would be Intersphere Mercenary. Get some more tactics, but from what I'm seeing from tactics, it doesn't seem like it's as important probably as gunnery, which is to actually hit anything. And with the blackjack, it's kind of with the AC2s that you are armed with, it's kind of a long-range attacker. So I would really like to have some gunnery skill. So let's go ahead and use that. Until years later, you cross paths with my old mentor, Raju Mastiff Montgomery, once again. On an ill-fated mission, you were caught behind enemy lines and separated from your lance. Raju happened to be on patrol nearby, and he launched a daring rescue. Upon finding out it was you he had rescued, he brought you into the House Arana Royal Guard. So it is that you find yourself reunited with your old mentor, preparing your ancestral blackjack for guard duty on the coronation day of Lady Kamea Arano. Okay, so that seems like what the cinematic was leading to. And now we have to choose some stuff about our character. So I'm going to go ahead with he. I'm going to use this as a baseline. I'm going to customize. And I already wrote down the customization numbers that I want. But you get to mess around a little bit with your character if you so, are so inclined to do, or you can just use one of the defaults. So I kind of based mine off of the default, and we're going to move some things around to get it looking, a little bit more like me, perhaps. I have a nice full beard. Okay, and that's more or less the color of my hair. I don't have purple eyes, though, so we're just going to go with brown. And the other things are more or less fine. We'll go with that. And save. So there's me. Then my call sign is going to be Mouse Gunner. And my first name is going to be, I'm going to be super creative here. I'm going to be Mouse. And my last name is going to be Gunner. Wow, I'm very creative there. All right, let's go ahead and go on. Okay, so we have a gunnery skill of 3, piloting skill of 3, tactics of 3. Guts is the one thing that we're a little bit low on. Guts I would have liked to have had, so this is going to improve my maximum health, and it also reduces the penalty from weapon recoil and increases the threshold of heat that triggers overheated. So that would have been nice to have, but I like the background we've got. So I am from the Free Worlds League. I set out on my own, and I joined the military of the Rugen Coalition. So that's our background. That's what we're going to go with, and let's go ahead and confirm. Okay, so I'm going to guess that goes wrong. Okay, it's Coronation Day. And we're at the Arano Summer Palace. All right, and this is about as far as I have gotten in the campaign so far. I don't really know too much what's going to be beyond this. From what I saw, you load right into a battle here, that's what we're doing right now, and we're going to begin the mission. And it seems like it loads in a tutorial. Okay, so we can move the camera around. Let's go ahead and do that. All right, use the right mouse button or Q and E to rotate the camera. We'll just use Q and E. That seems nice and simple. Okay, Mouse Gunner, I had the Espinosa refit yards. Rush the repairs on your blackjack. Looks like it's all in one piece. We should run some diagnostics on it. Just to be sure, standard field tests, you know the drill. More importantly, though, I want to tell you more about the job I brought you out here to do. Now, do me a favor and get the battle mech moving. Let's see if there are any kinks in the actuators. Okay, click on the mech warrior's portrait, or press tab to cycle between the units. So just go ahead and do that.
Right out and say it, kid.
Move your mouse to the indicated point.
Honest with you the other day. There's gonna be more to this job than escort duty.
Okay. Click once to select where you wish to move. Click again. Choose which direction to face. So I am fairly familiar with how this system works. We're going to just go ahead and move there. further you move, the less of a turn you can make. Right here, because there's something wrong in the capital. It's been too quiet since the High Lord Mahdi's funeral, and I'm worried about Lady Kamea's safety during her coronation procession. Anyway, looks like your actuators check out. Let's conduct a weapons test. Target one of those burnout old urban mechs and open fire. Gladly.
Like I was saying, I can't prove anything, but my gut tells me something's off, and a warrior trusts their instincts.
Okay. So go ahead and select one of these guys. And click fire. We're going to fire everything here. And we can see the amount of heat that's going to build up. Right there.
All weapons committed.
And blew that guy up pretty quickly. He must not have had much armor. I mean, we have pretty good weaponry.
Mech destroyed.
Okay, good shot. Your guns are in working order, at least. Been training Lady Arano since she was 14 years old. She can be naive at times and proud, but I have no doubt that she'll be a just, effective ruler. It's on us to see her safely to Portia's city. I'll rest easier once she's in the capital, with her cousin Victoria by her side. Okay, I'm not familiar with the way vehicles work. That was something that was not in the beta. Lady Victoria, well, she's only been training under me for a single season, but she's already shaped herself into one of the strongest mech warriors I've ever seen. Reminds me a lot of you, truth be told. Anyway, we should run a check on your targeting computer. You see that drone over there? The one moving through the tree line? Put some hurt on it for me, and when it turns, take it out with a rear angle shot. After it's down, we'll keep moving.
Kamea's like a daughter to me, and her late father, High Lord Tamati, was a good friend.
Okay. It doesn't let me move, it doesn't look like, so we just going to continue to target this guy. We'll fire everything. Now it's going to build up some more heat here, but we still have a ways to go before we're starting to run into trouble, which is what this little bar here means.
All weapons committed.
We get a little bit of an indicator of its armor and how it's doing there with the bar.
Victoria pulls no punches, but she's been a loyal companion to Kamea since they were kids. Aside from you, there's no one I'd rather have by my side in a fight.
Okay, so now we're targeting the rear armor here, as you can see, through this little display. And there's different armor facings. We have our armor facings over here.
All weapons committed.
Rear armor tends to be weaker, so that's, you know, why that happened.
Enemy unit destroyed.
Nice shot. I don't know how familiar you are with the Arugan politics, but the Reach was badly shaken by High Lord Tamati's death. It needs a smooth transfer of power, and Kamea belongs on the Cormorant throne. Go ahead and fire up your jump jets, kid. I want to see you descend this cliff face. Aim for the patch of ground there near the edge of the lake. Okay. So we click the character, we click jump to move by jumping. There is different movement types. So far, I think they just had us do a normal move. There's also sprinting, and then there's jumping itself. So we're gonna go ahead and jump over here. We also see these little chevrons, that's evasion. That's going to make me harder to hit the more chevrons I have. So you'll notice the further I jump, the more I get. Also, when you jump, you can spin around as much as you want. So we'll face where it appears enemies are.
Engaging jump jets.
There we go with a nice cinematic jump.
Yeah, I was afraid of that. Jump jets build a lot of heat, and that was more than your engine could handle. Head on into that water. We need to get you cooled off.
Yeah, I didn't pay too much attention to my heat gauge when I did that jump, but I think that was part of the whole idea. So what we had here is the heat went above this bar, so whenever that happens, we take damage. So we're just going to move over to the water, which is going to help us get rid of that heat faster. All right, warning, plasma leak detected, jump jet malfunction, jump jet system damage, system inoperable until repaired. Oh, for the love of all the gods, this is what I get for insisting on a rush job. Not that I had much of a choice. The Espinosa refit yards were backlogged like you wouldn't believe. It looked like they were trying to process every single Royal Guard mech in time for the coronation. There isn't any time to get your jets replaced, so we're going to have to make do without them. Go ahead and take that mech down with a melee attack. I want to be sure nothing else is going to break down on your blackjack before we take it out on the Cormorant Road. Okay, go punch him. So melee attacks, if I remember correctly, happen during the move phase. So there's you move, then you attack, more or less, and you do the melee strike when you are so it says here, click melee targeting reticle on the enemy, or press V to cycle through melee targets, then click the attack button. Or we could just click on this yellow box, and we hit attack. Good hit. At least that's solid. All right. One last test. I want you to take your blackjack up to a sprint and evade my attack.
Push that engine, kid. If something goes wrong today, I want to know that your mech can maneuver.
Okay, so as we mentioned before, we have evasion. So the farther you move, the more evasive charges you will gain. Each evasive charge makes you harder to hit. So we're going to want to sprint here, which is going to be a full move. Now this works the way it did before in the beta. Let's go ahead and read this just real quick to make sure I understand. Use the mech's entire turn to move farther. So you don't get to attack if you sprint. This is a little bit different than the tabletop game, but it is what it is. Cannot sprint if unsteady or if leg destroyed. So we haven't seen the unsteady element yet, but we'll go ahead and we'll try and get as many evasion charges as we can. It looks like 3 is as good as it's going to get. And it does want me to move in this region here. So we'll go a little bit further away. I'm assuming this is him here. When we'll face our frontal armor towards him. At least that's the idea. Okay, you missed us. As we see there, it did burn through my evasion, though, when he attacked me. So if you run into a group of enemies and they all attack you, each successive attack is going to make you easier and easier to hit. So you do have to be mindful of that. Congratulations, Mouse Gunner. Your blackjack's as combat ready as it can be, given the circumstances. For what it's worth, I hope that my suspicions turn out to be unfounded and we end the day having a good laugh about what a paranoid old man I've become. But if not, then I know that you'll be ready. All right, it's time to move out. Lady Urano is waiting for us at the mech bay.
An impressive display, Sir Raju. Of course, this mech warrior was a student of yours. I'd expect them to know their way around a cockpit.
It's kind of a bummer that we don't have jump jets. That's kind of one of the attributes of a blackjack that... Okay, Mouse Gunner, allow me to introduce Kamea Urano, the soon-to-be High Lady of the Arugan Coalition. Is Lady Victoria on this channel? For the time being, my father has summoned me to the Picton docks. I have a fleet inspection and a tour of the family refit yards to preside over before the coronation. Behold the responsibilities of a noble daughter, a fount of tedium that never runs dry. And I know the feeling, cousin. By this time tomorrow, I'll be responsible for the entire reach. Give my best to your father, and don't be late to the tourney. The gambling dens are already taking bets on how long it'll take me to cripple that customized monstrosity you pilot. All right, so Victoria is the daughter of the uncle, so I'm going to assume that she's going to be a bad guy in the near future, perhaps. Bold words, cousin, but the only victory they'll be celebrating is mine. You may be ascending by the throne today, but my Kaga is more than a match for the family heirloom that you call a battle mech. And in the arena, I reign supreme. We'll see, cousin, we'll see. At any rate, I'll see you at the tourney grounds. Sir Raju, I'm all ready to go when you are. Overland along the Cormorant Road, as is the Urano tradition. Hi, Kamea. Get you there in one piece. Mouse Gunner falling behind me. Remember what I told you. Okay.
Mission successful.
Well, that was easy. But it was meant to be. That's just meant to be the tutorial.
I remember the Oregon Reach of old. The time of the Great Expansion. I was just a boy then. Proudly we went forth, bringing the light of our coalition to so many systems. And for what? To see our great kingdom slowly waste away? Year after year, the Council deliberates while our economy falters, and the wolves bay at every door, while covetous neighbors plot against us. Well, I say, it can go no further. We are here today because if Lady Arana will not act, someone must. I know what I'm asking of you. You will face former comrades, or even loved ones, on the battlefield. I take up arms against my own niece. But remember, today we sacrifice so that tomorrow we can return our kingdom to its proper glory, to its proper strength. So should you fall tonight, know that you did so as true heroes of the Reach. To your stations, for the Directorate!
Okay, still Coronation Day. We're now in the city outskirts. As a result of this opening story mission being rather long, I am going to end up wrapping this video up here, and we'll continue in the next video. I hope you have enjoyed. This is Mouse Gunner, signing out.